here's an instance in which I'll be introducing a new color to the project, this teal blue here, which I have taped to the back of my clipboard. I've put it under the bass strings that I've already knotted because I'm working right to left here on this row. And I'm going to only need one knot of this color before I switch back to white. So I wanted to show how that works, because color switching and introducing a string is one thing, but putting only one knot and then switching straight back to another color can be a tiny bit more challenging. So first I do my first knot. My tripod leg is a little bit in my way. Normally I would go straight at that angle. I do my first knot, and then I take the color I was previously using and I drag it over. I make sure to pull the bass string super tight, and I tie my second knot. Now I'm gonna have to switch hands because my tripod leg is in the way, but normally I would just pull straight with that hand. Now that I have tied the single knot, I am going to move my string up and out of the way. And then I'm going to return to the white. Take our next bass string here, keeping all the strings out of the way. Tie one knot. Grab that teal color, pull it over and across the bass string that we're working with currently. Make sure my previous knot is tight, and then I will knot around the bass string again, making sure that the knot is pulled tight. My pattern calls for me to continue now with the white. So what I'll do is I'll take the teal. I like to lift up the bass strings that I'm about to be working with, and I keep the white string up as I sort of push down to get that to go into its proper place. Now I'm gonna grab it and move it all the way over here, far out of the way. And then I'll continue knotting with my white string. Making sure that the teal we just worked with is not visible. So to do this, I'll finish the two knots on this bass string, and I'll have a look. And I do see a teeny bit of teal poking through. I'm not sure whether that shows up on the camera, but because of that, it's a simple fix. I'm going to hold these bass strings here, keep my fingernail here, and I'm gonna gently, very gently tug downwards on this teal. And that way it's not popping through, it's nowhere to be seen from the front, and I'm gonna return it to its out of the way position and continue with the white as such. My pattern calls for me to continue almost to the end of this next white row. It's a symmetrical pattern, so I'm gonna go to here, one before the end of the white, and do another teal. Every time that I finish with a bass string, I make sure to move it out of the way so that it doesn't get incorporated in any of my subsequent knots. See, I finish it and then I actually just grab it and move it over to be grouped with the strings that have been worked with. The strings that haven't yet been worked with are grouped to the left so that the only thing in the middle in my working area is the bass string that I'm currently knotting on. Oops. So look, when I was moving over the string I had just worked with, I accidentally pulled this one over and it's not in line. So I don't want that. I'm gonna return it to its proper place for now so that I don't get anything tangled or mixed up. I hope that my hand isn't too much in the way. It's a little bit tough to figure out the best possible camera angle. You can see that I have a lot of muscle memory going on when I'm tying my knots, so that it's kind of one fast motion, but I'll do it slowly on this next one. I pull the bass string down, I grab the working string in my hand, and I kind of loop it around and then pull tight and up while always maintaining that tension on the bass string. That is, I think, the most important aspect of achieving consistency with your knots. So normally in most designs of maybe slightly less width, and also depending on the technique you prefer, normally we would actually take the teal string that we introduced over here, pull it behind, and use that same string to tie our single knot that we need. But because of the way my design looks, I actually want to introduce two separate strings just to minimize how many times a string has to cross over. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to introduce another teal string here, even though it would be completely fine to continue using the same one. Another reason that I like to introduce a second string if I'm using the same color but in a different region of the project is because it actually saves string in the long run, because you're not wasting that length by pulling it across the back every time it needs to go to another location. I like to use duct tape because it's very strong, and no matter, even if you're using a significant amount of tension when you're pulling it and when you're introducing the string, it usually holds. So what I do is I lift up my bass strings, I put it down at least a little bit to the right, in this case because we're working right to left, at least a little bit to the right of where I want to introduce it, and usually right under or above the current row, because I don't want it to be taped right here because that's just awkward. I want it to be taped conveniently. Now I've taped down my string. I make sure that I'm grabbing the correct bass string. We can see this one might have been tempting to grab, but this is actually our working black that we have tucked behind when we did our color change in the previous row. So here I have the proper bass string, I have my new color, and I'm gonna introduce it like this. Oops, see, I pulled too tight and my duct tape came up, but that's fine. I'll just press it down again. Pull tight, take our previous working string, pull it over and across and out of the way, and then we'll tie our second knot. Now my pattern calls for me to return to the white, so I'll do that. Take the white color, next bass string, single knot, previous color, drag across, and I'm noticing a little bit of random strings from before coming through, so I just push those aside and I return to my white. There. Now you'll see, look, this is going up here. We don't want that. We're gonna take this string, we're gonna pull it downward very gently. Oh, and look at that. Look what happened when I pulled down. The bass string is popping out. That's okay. I'll pull the bass string down, I'll keep hold of the teal, and I will once more tighten it until I'm satisfied with tension and placement of other strings. I'm gonna take my next bass string, hold the previous bass string, and I'm just gonna push that down once more. And for now, I'm gonna move it over here just because that's a little more convenient. The main thing is to just get it out of the way. My pattern calls for, let's see, one more white before I switch to another color, which is gonna be purple. So there you have it. We went from white to teal to a bunch of whites, and then we introduced a new teal string for convenience and to save the string, and now we've gone back to white. I hope this bite-sized quick video of tips and tricks for doing color switches using the flat alpha technique was helpful. If you have any specific questions or you want to see more videos that are similar to this, please let me know in the comments. And feel free to let me know what you think. This was a super fast video. I plan to make a little more scripted, a little more thought out videos in the future, but for now I just thought I would share a fun little tidbit of my process. Have a great day or night wherever you are.